All right, well, we're here with Mitch Thrower. Thankful for you to take this interview. We just got done watching you as one of the panelists here at TechCon, so that was really fun to watch you up there, so appreciate that. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here. It's really good to be here. It's a great conference.
Yes.
And what a facility, too. I mean, you kind of hit this facility and you think this is an amazing facility, and certainly a great manifest for the conference as well.
Yeah, I didn't know about this hotel. It's like they made it new, and I'm gonna be booking some things here.
It's like Shangri-La, right? You get in there, it's like, wait, this exists here? It's beautiful.
Well, anybody who's been living and breathing in the tech space knows about events.com, clearly. I mean, you're everywhere.
Thank you. They either know about it or they think they know about it because we have such a great name.
Yeah, you have an awesome
both
name,
of them work for us.
But I mean, I think we've probably done a couple of events through you. I came from a large enterprise before this. So.
Oh, terrific. Thank you for your business.
Yeah, I think we did use you a couple of times. So
great.
That's awesome. So tell us about events.com. Give for the people who don't know, give us the quick rundown.
People who don't know about events.com, our business is really designed to be the kind of Airbnb and the Salesforce of the event space.
Okay.
So we help event organizers manage, market, and monetize their events, really helping them save time and make more money. And then we also help consumers discover, interact, and transact with the events that they love. Now, we put the big marble in the jar first, which was the enterprise side of the business. And now we're really excited to be focused on the other marble on the jar, which is our discover and consumer access to everything that's happening around them.
Yeah, that's great. That is a big ecosystem.
It's a big ecosystem. The event world, I mean, depending on which part you look at, it's, over $1 trillion TAM. And, the events are something that we all do. We all love events. I mean, that's the one thing. It's an enormously enjoyable business to be in. I asked my 7-year-old son, I said, do you remember that event we went to in Big Bear? And he's like, oh yeah, Dad, that was great. We did this, we did that. I said, what did we do 3 days before? And it's like, I don't remember. And that's a part of life, is we are in the business of creating memories and helping people experience the most meaningful moments of their lives. So it's an enormously enjoyable business to be in.
Yes.
It's kind of like being in the movie Wedding Crashers, but it's not just weddings, it's festivals and conferences, and you get to see all of these celebrations that people are having about whatever they're doing.
And you get to see people at their best.
Correct.
Like you get to see CEOs and CTOs and other people present on stage and have this moment, right? And you're there to be part of it.
And we're there to be part of it. It's great. It's amazing the number and the variety of the things that people do. Everything from axe throwing in a bar, which is a wild endeavor, right? So you can combine those two things. Or it could be the Rise Festival, which happens out in the Mojave Desert, which is a beautiful event where they light the lanterns and very emotional, beautiful event. Or it could be the Renaissance Festival in Florida with 90,000 people dressed up like Game of Thrones and jousting and horses. And there's a Harry Potter weekend, and there are so many interesting things about people that emerge through the event ecosystem, and we're really, really proud to be a part of it. And we feel blessed and honored to be helping people find more events and helping organizers manage events better.
So people that haven't really been part of the enterprise ecosystem
right.
probably don't really know or understand how many events are going on at any given time in the United States.
Correct.
I mean,
Every day.
Do you throw numbers out, or is that something?
So you'll see about 3,000 events per day in New York City.
Wow.
Which is a big number, right? Now, also it depends on your definition of events, because beyond events, you also have activities, right? So, and I can't share our future plan on activities, but other than that we have one, but we have a great variety of things that people just like to do. And, a lot of people don't know this, but, things that people do, sometimes people underestimate, because the reality is it's twice the size of the market of things that people watch. So it's a big realization.
That's an interesting thought.
Right.
I had never thought that thought before.
Right. Yeah, things that you do that you register for to participate in are actually more than twice the size of things that people watch.
And that's true.
Yeah.
If you think about it, that is true.
But it's the maybe it's the underdog of the ecosystem, right? And it's certainly a lot more lucrative in certain senses, but our business is enjoyable.
Well, and I don't think people realize how many vendors get involved in an event.
Right.
Like when we ran events, we were getting 30, 40 vendors or
Yeah.
partners to fund the event. I mean, this is
Ultimate entrepreneur experience. It's you have an idea, you create an event, and then you sell tickets, and then you sell sponsorship, then you sell merchandise, then you maybe sell memberships. And there's a lot of other things you can sell along the way. With our platform, you can sell insurance policies if you can't make it. It's created out of thin air, right? So it's almost entrepreneurship in a box, and there's less carbon. And that's another thing that you'll find in businesses is the more carbon you remove, the higher the valuation goes up.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, because if you're making tables, your company will trade at a multiple of net. If you're creating the software that designs the tables, your company will trade at a multiple of gross, based on growth rate and many other factors. But
That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
entrepreneurs forget about that. They
Yeah,
start the journey and they say, "I'm going to start an X," and I won't ding any industries. But they're going to say, "I'm going to start an X," but they have no clue that what they should be looking at before they even get started is the exit multiples that are applied to the industry that they're in, because it takes just as much effort and energy and heart and soul and sweat and blood and tears to start a company with a low multiple on exit as it does to create one with a high multiple at exit. So, I encourage entrepreneurs.
That's great advice. I mean, you've definitely been down this road a few times. So
Right.
that's great advice if you think about it. Like the idea is one thing,
Right.
but before you chase that idea,
Correct.
you might want to think about
Right.
the payout at the end.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, that's the piece that people sort of forget about. A lot of entrepreneurs get terminally creative, right? I have an idea and we can do that, and this is how we're new, and then figure it out, and then I have another idea and we can do this and we can figure it out, and then they have another idea. And so you want to avoid the terminal creativity, because people who are creative, entrepreneurs, are naturally creative. And sometimes they'll create themselves out of whatever they're really supposed to be doing, if they follow their core. You want to be doing something that no one could ever pick up the phone and recruit you away from.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like we should have psychologists for people like that, because I'm that way. It's like I'm creative engine always flowing, and you're right. Oftentimes that creative engine is getting in the way of me of doing what I'm probably the best at, right?
It's a fun process. Creating is fun. Implementing isn't.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing that.
So you better love it, because the
it.
implementation part is not going to be.
It always fun.
Yeah.
That's why you want to pick also a business you enjoy. Fortunate in the event industry, helping people experience the most meaningful moments of their lives is a real feel good. And especially after a pandemic and social unrest and the divisions that are happening in the world, in our own small way, we're helping the world get back together.
Yeah. So that feels good. Now, on the stage, you'd mentioned that during the pandemic, you got this idea that event companies and conference companies were going to be struggling and they were. So you took that as an opportunity to go out there and acquire some of those businesses and grow your business.
We did. It's you can either pick when your business becomes illegal, aka the government manifests that events couldn't be held. There has to be a way to grow, and so grow knowing that no matter what happens, humans are going to find a way to connect around shared experiences, online, impersonal. It was a matter of time. It wasn't a matter of if. And it didn't feel like that for a lot of people. But if you took a step back and you looked at all the pandemics in human history, there's always been patterns that have emerged, right, from every pandemic. And in particular, when you're faced with a restricted access to the most fundamental human need, which is each other, generation under 50 years old, tasting, even for just a moment, their own mortality. And then this enormous social trend of buying things generation shifting to a doing things generation. The writing was on the wall.
Yes.
And that's what we're seeing now with an enormous wave of interest in people wanting to do more things with more people.
Yeah, and that you're absolutely right. Now, I'd like to transition to, you've been in San Diego a while, and you've been on the entrepreneur scene for a while, creating and starting companies, and obviously with events.com, that's been quite successful. Tell us about your journey as going to school here and then becoming a business owner, entrepreneur. Tell us about that, because there's a lot of people in San Diego that got that bug. So we'd like to
start businesses.
We'd like to encourage them as much as possible.
And obviously to stay here. Yeah. One of the things I shared on stage was how you have that feeling when you come back into San Diego and you could be in the most beautiful part of the world, but when you fly back to San Diego, there's just this weight lifted off of your shoulders. And I experienced that for the first time in the 90s when I came out to San Diego and I thought, wow, the weather is this phenomenal all the time. I had known, because I had started my first company right out of school. We were originally a marketing company for college students. Then we became a travel company where we were selling tickets for Eurail passes. And I moved that company across country when I found and fell in love with San Diego. Actually rented a garage. We moved it into an actual garage, what used to be a garage. Our rent was $300, and grew that, scaled it, sold it. But while growing that business, I went back to school to University of San Diego to get my MBA.
Great.
And it was almost like a testing ground. You know, I could take a class on consulting and then go get all the consulting contracts right. Take a class on cash flow and financial management, get that checked off in the business. And so then ultimately, there was a part of the business curriculum which was, harvesting your venture, and I went out and sold the company. So it was a perfect thing. I was going to school at night mostly, running the business during the day. And it was an amazing experience. And then had kind of a dual career track with the companies I'd started in San Diego after that.
Great. That's awesome. Well, it's great of you to do this interview. We really appreciate it. In closing, as we leave, I noticed on your LinkedIn that you have this thing called the La Jolla Foundation.
Correct.
And I noticed it has something to do with diffusing some of the tensions in the world, and that seems to be very topical right now. So I thought I'd give you a minute to talk about that.
Yeah, so one of the missions under the La Jolla Foundation is Project Active. And what we do primarily there, and what we've done in the past, is we've sent sports equipment into areas of world tension.
Okay.
To help people realize, because, let's say you go to Boston and people are in a bar and they're yelling, "Rip his head off, crush him, get him." They're not watching CNN. They're watching their sports team.
Yes.
And so that fundamental human, maybe you can call it friendly, gameful aggression, is, I think, wrongfully applied in many parts of the world where they're recovering from injury and loss and illness and sickness and, death in many cases, and family death. And so by, dripping sport into those regions, it's, our effort to, help this crazy rock we're all sitting on get a little more peaceful.
That's a novel idea.
It's
That's
interesting.
Great. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for meeting with us today, Mitch. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's great to be here.
Yeah, great.
Really great to be
Thank
here.
you for listening to this episode of The Founder's Journey. You can follow us at foundersjourney.fm for updates on our episodes and to recommend future guests. Special thanks to our primary sponsor, New Fund Venture Group, who can be found at newfund.com.